Welcome back to Talk Tickers. Today, we're digging into Bioventus, ticker BVS. Their Q2 earnings call on August 6th was, well, it was a real head-scratcher for a lot of investors, and we're going to figure out exactly why.
All right, so here's the puzzle, right? On paper, the company missed expectations, but then you look at the stock and it has one of its best days of the entire year. So what gives? What did the market see that wasn't in those top-line numbers?
So first, let's just get the official numbers out of the way. Revenue came in at $147.7 million, and non-GAAP earnings per share were 21 cents. Both of those numbers missed what analysts were expecting. A miss on the top line and a miss on the bottom line.
But the market's reaction? It told a totally different story. The stock absolutely soared, up almost 19% in a single day. So let's really unpack what was driving that incredible move.
Okay, so we know it wasn't about those headline misses. The market was clearly looking past all that noise and focusing on something much deeper, the real health and the future direction of the core business.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Yeah, if you just look at the reported revenue, it's down. But that's kind of misleading. See, that negative number is only there because they recently sold off a piece of their business. If you strip that out and look at their core ongoing operations, what we call organic growth, well, that was actually up a super strong 6.2%.
And you know what backs up that strong growth? Cash, pure and simple. The business was just gushing cash. We're talking $25.9 million from operations. That is a massive 71% jump compared to last year. That's not just growth, that's powerful.
And that incredible cash flow, it points directly to how efficient they're becoming. They delivered an adjusted EBITDA margin of about 23%. I mean, that's really healthy, and it just goes to show that the core business is churning out some serious profits.
And here's the real kicker. Even with all the challenges in the background, management was so confident that they came out and reaffirmed their guidance for the entire year, for revenue, for EBITDA, and for EPS. That's a huge signal that they're expecting a really strong second half. But you know, these strong numbers were only half the story. The rally wasn't just about what happened last quarter. Investors were also buying into a brand new, really compelling story about where this company is going next. The CEO, Rob Flee, he really set the tone on the call. He kept using this phrase, disciplined execution. Now, what he's really telling investors is, hey, those great margins and that awesome cash flow we just showed you, that wasn't an accident. That's the result of a very deliberate, very focused strategy. And the absolute centerpiece of that strategy is something called PNS, peripheral nerve stimulation. They just got clearance for some new products in this space. And this is a huge deal. They're jumping into a super fast-growing market for non-opioid pain treatment, and they think this could be a $100 million business for them, a total game changer.
And I gotta say, one thing I really appreciated was that management didn't try to sweep the challenges under the rug. They were totally upfront about a $5 million headwind from things like foreign exchange and tariffs. But, and this is the critical part, they made it super clear that those negatives are already baked into that full-year guidance. The same guidance they just confidently reaffirmed.
Okay, so let's put all these pieces together. Where does Bioventus go from here? What's our take?
All right, looking ahead to the next quarter, here's what we're thinking. We expect this positive story to get even stronger. Why? Because the market's going to start seeing the first result from that big PNS launch. And as the conversation shifts from, oh, they've stabilized the business, to, wow, they're actually accelerating, we see a really clear runway for the stock to keep climbing.
So that brings us to our rating. We're calling this one an outperform. The market absolutely made the right call here. It looked right past that small headline miss and focused on what really mattered: the killer organic growth, the accelerating cash flow, and of course, that massive new catalyst with PNS. Now, with an outperform reading like that, you might be wondering about a potential trade idea. Let's walk through one plausible concept. And remember, this is just for discussion. The whole idea here is pretty simple. The market gets the story, but we don't think it has fully priced in just how big that $100 million plus PNS opportunity could be. So one way to potentially play this is by looking at options to capture the upside as we get more good news on the product launch. Now, what's the risk? It's all about execution. They absolutely have to deliver on this rollout. And really, that's the big question, isn't it? Can Bioventus make that pivot from being just a stable value story into a true high-growth medtech innovator? It's a big ask, but all the pieces are definitely starting to fall into place for a really significant transformation. And as always, this is not financial advice.